Um, I'm a student. Like, I go to the school that Stefan teaches at. I am an actual taking tests, buying notebooks, new shoes student. I went back to school at a much older age. My favorite, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I wrote a book once on a website, but I'm a non-traditional student, which is the really cool PC way of saying, you're old. And there's no bones about it. They're like, oh, you're non-traditional, you were born in the 70s. Oh, damn, yeah. Ow, I'm a person too. But when I thought about it, I realized that there's some alienation in my life that is really interesting. It's not tragic, it's not something that I've cried about, but it's hit me really hard a couple of times. The first story is, I was in a class, it was a government class. Now I went back to Del Mar and I literally started at the beginning. I got my associate's degree first. And so I'm sitting in this government class going, this is, oh God, again? I shouldn't have failed you the first time. And so I'm sitting there and the anniversary of 9/11 comes up. And the professor is very somber and sober and very, I'd like to spend some time talking about that today. And, I'd like to hear from my students as what your experiences were. Silence! Nothing! Jason, why don't you share your story? Okay. I was 30 years old. I lived in Houston. I was married. I was on my way to work when the first tower was hit. I heard it on the radio. All the channels broke for this. I got to my office at the law firm in Houston, downtown, that I worked at, just in time to literally walk in as the second tower was hit. I watched the second tower get hit. I saw the plane. I was in a room full of about 150 adults, and we were all like kids. We didn't know what to do. We were terrified. Then we got a phone call from the building management that our entire building was closing. They were shutting it down. You had to evacuate. They were gonna send security from floor to floor to make sure that there was nobody in there. So the HR guy came up to me and said, hey, I need your help, man. We gotta get everybody out. So I'm telling $400 an hour attorneys, hey, you gotta go, we're closing down. I've got this brief due, it doesn't matter, we work from home, we're shutting down. So about an hour after that, my boss and I locked the doors, went downstairs, and we were some of the last people to walk out of I think it was a 58-story building before they locked down downtown Houston. Houston downtown became an absolute ghost town. And the professor's like, wow, thank you for sharing. The girl next to me goes, oh my God, I was 3. These are my peers. I take tests with them. I study with them. They look to me for notes. These are my peers. She was 3. Okay, so I had to take a fine arts course. Heidi, don't laugh. That's where I met her. My really good friend Kim Frederick teaches a film class. And I went, I love Kim and I love film. Perfect. Show up, he and I start joking. He's like, hey man, seriously, remember this is class. Don't be a dick. Don't show me up. Don't make fun of me. So he hands me the syllabus, and the syllabus is a list of films that we're going to watch that semester. Dude, we're doing Star Wars for real? He's like, yeah. What do you want to know about Star Wars? Star Wars is a religion to me. When I was 7, I saw it 7 times in the theater. 3 times by myself because there was a theater not far from my grandparents' house. I love Star Wars. I can name more characters. I have a Star Wars Trivial Pursuit game that nobody will play me with. Teams won't play me anymore. Love Star Wars. Love it. So we have to watch a couple of movies before that, and I'm just like, the Star Wars, come on. Eventually, he plays, so we're in this theater. It's like but as big as this backstage. Star Wars, the opening, and I'm just like, yeah, this is great, I love this. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like reliving my childhood and the toys and the feeling and everything. And the girl next to me is like, This is stupid, it's sci-fi. Bitch, it's called Star Wars. What did you think? Again, these are my peers. These are people who are looking to me for study notes. So we finished Star Wars, and everyone is like, that movie was stupid. The special effects were bad. That was bad. And I'm just going, you guys don't get it. At the time, that was better than Avatar. I mean, Avatar was a bad movie, but as far as visually, you can't, let's be honest here. So I was blown away that they hated Star Wars. Then, like 4 movies later, Napoleon Dynamite. I can't see anybody, but hands up, who kept waiting for that fucking movie to start? Okay, I can't see. But my wife and I watched that, and the entire time we were like, it's gonna get funny, right? Like everyone's talking about how funny it is. It's gonna get funny, right? And at the end we were like, the credits are rolling. Where was the... So they didn't get Star Wars, and I didn't get Napoleon Dynamite, so everything's good. Now, this next bit of alienation, I would love to tell you is a joke I made up, but I'm not that funny. This is a real, true, honest story. I went back to school. I was at Del Mar, and I had to take science classes. Well, I don't like math at all. So I looked at geology, and I went, well, there you go. It's rocks and minerals, and hell yeah, that sounds cool. So I'm in my geology class, and there's about 30 people in there, and we're spread out very wide because we have like these lab desks that we're working off of. And after, I don't know, the 3rd or 4th class, people began to realize that, well, I'm old, and because I'm old, I pay attention, and I actually take notes. I don't just hope that I'm gonna remember shit. So I had some people asking me, can they borrow my notes? Well, so I'm like, how are 5 or 6 people gonna borrow them? And they're all taking pictures, and I'm just, what the hell is that? That was really new for me. I'd never seen that. So it was kind of interesting to watch people take pictures of my notes and me going, what the fuck are you? That's great. Now I know. I'm old. I'm learning these things. So one of the young ladies that asked to borrow my notes and took a picture of them, she thanked me. And the only reason she stuck in my head was because she had a really pretty voice. And it wasn't like, hey, baby. It was just like, she's got a pretty voice. Come on, I'd have to be 10 years younger to be twice their age, okay? You know how embarrassing that is? So I'm not even, so it was just, she had a really pretty voice, and so then I noticed her. And later on, we had to like pair up in like groups of 4, and she was in my group. That's literally it. That's the only reason that she even resonated in my mind. So, the guy that taught the film class, Kim Frederick, has an office on the campus of the university. And I'm sitting in his office one day, and we're talking about the past and how we've known each other since Jesus was in diapers, and we're talking about all this stuff. And he said, you know, the pager baby. And I go, oh, really? Okay. So, in 1993, Kim Frederick was my professor. His wife, his ex-wife, was pregnant. And the hospital gave him a pager. Now, for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a little machine that you dialed the number of, and it beeped or vibrated, and then you called them. It was kind of like a text message minus the phone. So Kim got this beeper from the hospital, and we were all giving him a hard time about he was a drug dealer and stuff, and because those were the people that had beepers then. In Corpus, it was true, okay? Maybe it was different in Houston. In Corpus, only people I knew. So, maybe a little bit more than you guys wanted to know. But, so we're sitting there in class, and he did stage management. So we're building this giant set, and his beeper goes off, and he's like, what do I do? And we're all like, go to the hospital. And he goes, no, I'm gonna call. So he runs off, and he comes back like, false alarm. So like a week later, his beeper goes off, and we're all like, oh, it's a false alarm. He goes, let me call. Shit, baby. And he's gone. So she's the pager baby to me. That's what I know her as. She's the baby that came out of his pager. I'm sitting in Kim Frederick's office, we're chatting about life, and this young lady sticks her head in, and before I can see anything, Kim goes, hey, Jason, look, it's the pager baby. Aren't you in my geology class? Yeah, I'm in your geology class. Kim almost pissed himself laughing. And you guys don't even know him, and that's funny. If you knew him, you'd know how funny that was. He almost died laughing, and she didn't understand what was going on because she missed the first part of the conversation. So then she was like, well, what are y'all laughing about? And I'm like, she's like, is it because I took your notes? Like, oh. That's when Kim was like, get the hell out of my office, man. Just leave. You can't be here. So my alienation, like I said, it wasn't tragic. It wasn't something that I go home and cry into but it's real. I mean, right? Like, what I'm talking about sounds kind of shitty to happen to somebody, right?